Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelenskyy has proposed a truce formula to stop conflict with Russia for the time being. The proposed formula seems to be part of his long-announced victory plan that he has been hinting for quite some time. In an interview with UK-based news channel, Zelenskyy has said that Ukraine needs to be given security guarantee by Western nations. He said that this can be done by NATO. Clarifying his proposal, he said that NATO should give security umbrella to the Ukrainian territories that are there in the control of Ukrainian forces. He also said that let the Ukrainian territories which are in Russian control be with Russia. It can be resolved through diplomacy later. To reinforce his proposal, Ukrainian Foreign Minister Andriy Sybiha has written a letter to NATO Secretariat to extend an invitation to Ukraine to join the military alliance during a meeting in Brussels next week. Ukrainian leader also accepts that NATO membership was not possible when war was on, but the proposal and letter from NATO will boost his credibility at home for any further relaxation to Russia, especially after Donald Trump takes over power in USA. Ukrainian President Zelenskyy also thanked to French President Emmanuel Macron over phone to garner his support on future course of action on Friday. Macron reiterated his condemnation of an escalation in Russia-Ukraine conflict and reaffirmed his support for Ukraine during the phone call. While Zelenskyy mentioned that he had a productive telephone conversation with Macron, he also thanked him for France's readiness to help with generally strengthening Ukraine's air defense capabilities and for general support in speeding up the transfer of Mirage aircraft. All right, joining me on the broadcast is Ashok Sajjanar, former senior diplomat. He's joining us from New Delhi. Ambassador, a very warm welcome on the broadcast, first of all.
Thank you very much, Siddharth. Pleasure to be with you.
Yeah, Ambassador, Volodymyr Zelenskyy has proposed a truce formula to stop conflict with Russia or to end the hot stage of the conflict. What the formula is, we'll talk about it a little later, but how do you analyze it?
Yeah, I think whatever elements are available at the moment, it definitely appears to be a significant forward movement from the victory plans that Zelenskyy has given earlier. The first, your viewers would recall, a victory plan, so-called Ukrainian victory plan, was given in 22. And the latest one was when Zelenskyy went to the US and he met President Biden also, and he gave him the victory plan. And in that, of course, one of the significant elements was that all the territories occupied by the Russian Federation, Crimea in 2014, and the four oblasts, the four regions of Luhansk, Donetsk, Zaporizhia and Kherson, that all those territories would be restored back to Ukraine. But the silver lining that I see in this current plan is that he's saying that this is a truce plan, not a victory plan, and that the fate of Crimea and the four regions will be discussed and decided later through diplomacy. So it is coming close to what I think it had been suggested by Mr. Trump in terms of peace for land for peace plan that he had in mind. So I think this does, on at least the indications that are available, seems to be a move forward from the earlier victory plans that Mr. Zelenskyy has shared with the US and with other NATO members.
Okay, so do you see it as a ray of hope, don't you?
I definitely do see it as a ray of hope because, you know, in the earlier instances also, one or two other elements, if I could mention, he said that, you know, membership of NATO to Ukraine, an invitation to join NATO, that should come, that should be forthcoming. Right now, what he has mentioned is that the intention of NATO to invite Ukraine to become a member. So not a full-fledged invitation, but the intention to invite Ukraine to become a member of NATO. And he says that that would be helpful in terms of, you know, sending out a message to Russia in that context. So I think that is also significant. Of course, there are other elements where earlier he's spoken of comprehensive non-nuclear strategic deterrence that should be provided to Ukraine, and economic help and facilities should be provided to Ukraine. I'm sure those will be elements of this truce plan, but they have not really been made available in the public domain as yet.
Okay, Ambassador, you were also mentioning this. Zelensky said that NATO should give security umbrella to the Ukrainian territories that are there in control of the Ukrainian forces. Do you see it happening?
Well, not really. Not really. I think this would be some sort of a negotiating point with the NATO countries, because I think the NATO countries have said very clearly that till the war is going on, they would really not be able to extend either to join NATO or become a member of NATO, although they have indicated that they are fully committed to Ukraine's ultimate membership of the NATO and to providing its security guarantees, but not while the war is going on. So possibly the rationale for Mr. Zelensky to suggest to submit this truce plan is that once peace is restored, once there is truce, once there is ceasefire, at that time the negotiations for both the membership of the Ukraine's membership of the European Union as well as to become a member of NATO, at least that can get some traction, and that there can be some forward movement in that.
So you don't see it happening anytime soon, at least till the conflict is going on?
Yeah, not till the conflict is going on, but I think this would be a very important element if what Zelensky says that the territories that are under the control of Russia at the moment, they can stay under the control of Russia for the time being, and their future can be discussed through and decided through negotiations at a later stage. I think that is a very big move. That's a very forward movement, and that could also interest Russia also to come into the negotiating table, because I think it needs to be realized that Russia is also not happy with this war. There are still about 1,500 square kilometers of Russian territory in the Kursk region, which is under Ukrainian occupation at the moment, and has put in place about 10,000, 11,000 North Korean troops to fight Ukraine there. So obviously it is also under pressure, and if there are these long-range missiles that continue to be used against the Russian people, then the support for the war and support for Mr. Putin could also take a nosedive. So I'm sure Russia and Mr. Putin and Sergei Lavrov, they are all looking at the implications and ramifications of a further escalation of the conflict.
In fact, Ambassador, Ukrainian Foreign Minister Andriy Sybiha has also urged his NATO counterparts to issue an invitation to Kyiv at a meeting in Brussels next week to join the Western military alliance.
Yeah, meaning I think if the invitation is there as an observer or to see how the functioning of NATO is going on, what the discussions are going on, possibly that could become a reality. But what Ukraine is demanding for an invitation to join NATO, I don't see that forthcoming anytime soon, because NATO and particularly President Biden and the UK Prime Minister, they have said categorically that till the conflict is on, there will not be any invitation coming to Ukraine to join NATO. Although they mentioned that as the long-term proposition that Ukraine should be given security guarantees and should be assured membership of NATO in future after the conflict is wound up.
Definitely, Ambassador. My final question before I let you go, how do you analyze the entire situation which is prevailing in that particular region, and how do you see its future implications?
Well, I think it's the situation rests on tenterhooks, because the sort of threats that we are getting from Russia, from Mr. Putin, that he's been firing hypersonic missiles, ballistic missiles. Orishnik has been used once, and there are threats that it might be used again. The nuclear threshold has also been lowered by the Russians, and we have seen that there have been 100 missiles, 90 drone attacks on infrastructure in Ukraine, on power systems. So I think it bodes very badly. Ukraine has its back to the wall, and I think that is the reason why we have seen this latest truce plan coming out of Kiev. And we saw that 1 million people were without electricity, and with the winter coming in so very quickly, I think the situation doesn't look very good at all, particularly for Ukraine, but I think Russia is also feeling the heat.
All right. Thank you so much, Ambassador, for taking out your valuable time and joining us on the broadcast. Thank you so much.
Pleasure to be with you. Thank you.